Food, fitness and farming is the theme of this week's FAS TV as we visit John, Carlisle and Emily Forsyth at Farm to Fork Nutrition in Lockerbie. John and Emily are elite athletes and combine their love for CrossFit and Hyrox with producing nutritionally balanced meals from livestock reared on their family farm and processed through their own butchery and abattoir business.
So my name's Emily and we are here at the Butchery at Lockerbie, and this is
John, Carlisle. This is the building. This is our main butcher shop that was started. We took over about 7 years ago in the business. So this is we knocked this building down. There was a small old butcher shop here before, and we've knocked it down, and we had a cutting plant up at the top of Lockerbie. So we've incorporated butcher shop and cutting plant in this one building. And then we've got the abattoir, which is just further down the road. So nice modern shop, makes a big difference. We've been in here over 5 years now, so we've seen a real good uplift on just people appealing for them to come in to the shop. So no, it's been a great facility and makes it a lot easier working with modern kit and all new stuff. So it's like that. Yeah. The farm at home with beef and sheep finishing. So it is with fatting about 3,000 cattle a year at home in the farm. We're buying them as close to finish as possible, really, just because there is such a big throughput of cattle. We're using probably about 50 to 60 cattle from the farm a week, processing them here at Lockerbie Abattoir. And then we've got our own ewes. We've got about 700-800 ewes at home in the farm, which we'll lamb them. They lamb about February time, some of the hogs later on. So all our own lambs, and we try and drag them out right through the year, so that we've got good quality lambs coming through for butchers most of the year, and then we top up and buy lambs from other local markets as well. So moved over from Ireland 22 years ago, grow a bit of our own fodder for the cattle, but we're buying a fair bit in as well just to keep the ration. Dad and my brother, they're involved in the farming. My brother, he runs that side of it. Very much take pride in finishing cattle correctly, and we believe that if an animal's finished right, then that's where the flavour and the marbling's created from. So that's what very much for our retail outlets here, Dumfries and Broxburn, we want to make sure that we're getting a consistent, as you can see in these dry agers here, we're getting a consistent product week in, week out. And our customers, if they're getting a steak, they're getting a similar one, if not more or less identical the following week. So similar with our butcher customers that we're supplying around Scotland, they want a side of beef to be peas in a pod week in, week out. So we're getting there now. We've been in the job a few years, so it's getting easier, but we're learning all the time as well. So
day to day, I mean, usually we come down into the shop, we're filling the counter. We do a lot of added value products as well as your traditional like beef cuts, and we've also got our full range of pies here and ready meals that we make in store, so they're getting done daily. So first thing we come in is fill out the counter, get the display looking good, and then filling out our multi-deck as well, which we fill full of our ready meals and fantastic offers that we've got in store. And then usually it's online orders, so we've got our own website, which is thebutcherylockerbie.com, that you can order across the whole of the nation and Northern Ireland, and we'll send out next day delivery. So mornings are usually filled with packing orders and sending them out. 2 mornings of the week are filled with Farm to Fork Nutrition, so we do all our ready meal making on those 2 mornings that we also send out to athletes and general public just across the UK. So Farm to Fork started last March. We briefly touched on wanting to start our own meal prep range. I think as well with the times that you always need to be adapting and bringing out new products which are exciting to consumers. So when we were looking in the market, there wasn't really a meal prep range that had products coming from their own farm already. So we thought there was definitely a gap there that we could explore. So we started last March. We make all the meal prep ready meals obviously in our own kitchens here, and then just from there it's grown, and it's been fantastic to see how new different products we can make and all the different meals and who's now living off them, so it's been good.
We'd always done a type of just your standard ready meals, you know, your basics, your mince, your tatties, all that, but then we've seen that there was a demand for calorie counted and stuff that listed all your macros, because with us being in the fitness industry and seeing people what they're wanting to eat in it, we did see a big demand, and we did a bit of research into it for a couple of years before we launched it, and then after Christmas, as Emily said, it was launched in March, so after Christmas we thought, right, let's just get this going, and we did a lot of research into other meal prep companies and seeing what they were doing and how they were doing, and a majority of them were lacking in protein was the main source that they were lacking in, but that's probably because they were having to buy off someone that we supply, so we're already 2 steps ahead of them that way. So it is a good selling point for us that we can put quite a lot of protein into the meals. Most of them have got about 60 to 70 grams of protein. So
between 500 and 700 calories per portion. So the kind of ideal is that we do different packages between 2 meals a day for 5 days to the biggest one, which is 3 meals a day for 7 days. So it's to work that you're meant to have, like, one for lunch or one for dinner, or if you're training at higher intensity or wanting to eat more calories, you can go for the 3 meals a day option, which would give you like 3 kind of main meals to eat through the day. So we eat something for everything. Well, before I went to university, I was very horsey, so did British eventing, and then played a lot of netball, and then went to uni and kind of stopped all the sports and knuckled down a bit. And then when I finished and I met John, you were very into your Hyrox and fitness and sport, and it wasn't actually until last year, it's been a year to date, that I got back into the gym, and now CrossFit's life, and nobody does work and go to the gym.
Yeah, I was very much the same. Probably came from, I played football when I was younger, and then played rugby up until, played football up until about 16, and then gave that up to play rugby. Most of my friends were playing rugby, and it was just a bit more sociable. And then played rugby up until probably about 4 years ago. And then the Britain's Fittest Farmer thing, competition was about, and I thought I'll maybe enter that. So I gave that a go, and first year I done it, I finished 6th in it, and then I've done it for the last 4 years, and I won it last year actually, and then we were both down there at the weekend, and we both came second actually. I finished second in the males, and Emily finished second in the females. But very, very close. I was joint on 11 points first, and you were just 1 point behind, weren't you? So it was done through, there's an interview process in that as well about mental health and well-being in the agricultural industry, try to promote fitness and get people off the farm and stuff like that. So no, that's a good event. And then as Emily says, we're training all the time, and we've got a real good community of people within kind of Dumfries area that are on the same, we've got kind of doing the same thing, and it's great training with like-minded people that push you, you know what I mean? I just feel like training on your own, you don't get that same effect that you would get a wee bit extra push if you're training with people. So no, it's growing, and that whole industry, we can only see that growing more and more. You know, your events like Hyrox and Emily doing CrossFit, they are getting more and more popular. I think people are taking a lot more care in their actual general fitness and that there, and they're seeing like longevity in life is, you know, if you're doing training at high intensity, it helps you massively. So the reason probably why Hyrox is becoming so popular, it's got very, very low barriers to entry, so it's not actually technical, whereas CrossFit, you've got very, very technical stuff, which Emily will explain some of the stuff that she's been doing. But Hyrox is basically you're running 8 1Ks, and after every 1K you're doing a strength station. So it's the functional fitness side of it, where you're having to be a good runner, but then you're also having to be strong as well. So the boys that are doing kind of best in it at the minute are kind of big lads, and they've got a good engine, they can run. So but not the most technical thing in it probably is like doing wall balls, having to squat down to a depth and throw a ball up. So it's not actually technical at all, whereas CrossFit on the other hand is.
Yeah, so you can actually go into CrossFit at 3 different levels. You can be a beginner, intermediate and RX. So currently I'm still in intermediate sections. The major thing is Olympic lifting, so learning to clean and jerk, to snatch, and then you go into more technical things like your pull-ups. You learn to butterfly pull-up, then there's muscle-ups, handstand walking. So actually last year I got 2 new coaches, one that specifically does handstand walking and teaching you to walk up a ramp on your hands, and then my other coach does all my CrossFit specific stuff. Interviews that we did prior to the competition were how you can help break the stigma of mental health in farming, specifically around males, and basically where we would want the industry to be in the next 15 years. And especially for the younger generation, you hope that in a few years' time everything is going to improve and people are going to be more open about talking about their mental health. And I think, as John was saying, like, we're really lucky here that even in an agricultural community, we've got such a fab community around us that does fitness and gets out and about. And now instead on a Sunday, you know, usually we would go out on a Saturday night and Sundays would be spent hungover. Everyone's going for runs and coffee dates, and you know, it's a different aspect to life now compared to what it used to be. But I think definitely surrounding yourself with people, like-minded people that are working hard and want to get out and about is definitely the main thing. I know that especially young farmers nowadays, they're pushing sports on weekends and even like stock judging, barbecues, like that kind of thing to get people out and about and talking, and not just talking about farming, talking about everything in life. So I think that's definitely key.
Yeah, well, I don't do a lot on the farm myself. It's more my brother. But working, there has been, like, during the whole COVID time, your working hours was like you hardly took a day off. You never really worked during the week. We were open 7 days a week here in the shop, so we are, and that was, you were working full time. And then once we kind of did get into the fitness side of it, you did see how much it did benefit you. Do you know what I mean? It's like getting a holiday or something like that. You're recharging, you're taking your mind off it. So when you're in the gym and you're working out with your friends, it's enjoyable. So it's been a great thing for me personally and Emily.
I think nowadays especially, like, we take like eating well and like staying hydrated and sleeping well, like all those wee things that we notice a massive difference in our own mental health, that I feel like when you say to the younger generation, like we've done a few talks in schools on about eating, and to tell them to drinking Monster and Red Bull is no benefit to anyone, especially at that age. So it's just kind of drilling in those things of sleeping well and eating well. And
the big one is eating well. If you can eat well, you can probably not go to the gym and you can still be in good shape. The gym's really just kind of toning up and sorting that side of it. But if your diet's, it's massive how big a part that plays. And that's not just to do with your body shape or anything like that. It's all to do with your mentality. Do you know what I mean? If you're eating rubbish stuff, you're going to feel rubbish as well. But if you're putting the right nutrients into your body and taking care of that, you're going to be good to go. Yeah. So our advice to farmers and people involved in the agricultural industry that are busy and have a busy lifestyle around eating, I would say if you try and plan what you're eating in advance. And have it, likes of my brother and Emily's brother, they are busy on the farm, and they're finding time now to dedicate their meals, if they're eating maybe one at 10 o'clock and one about lunchtime as well. But it's just finding that time and prioritising, getting the right nutrients in, because it does make a big difference on your energy alone, and probably how you're acting at work and around staff and other members that you're working with. So
I think the key thing is not overcomplicating what you should be eating, and just making sure that you're having like a decent protein, a decent carb. I mean, a lot of farmers are already, if their wives are making dinner, they're getting their carrots, their potatoes, and like mince and tatties. Like those are really staple meals that don't have to be overcomplicated, but just focusing on making sure that you're getting enough protein if you're doing really, high energy work through the day, like lifting stuff on the farm and specifically. And also, as we said, if you've got a wee microwave in your tractor, then there's no excuse. I think for me, what I enjoy the most is definitely the team that we've got here and what we can bring to customers, like the older and younger generation that are coming in. Like we've got such a massive product range here, from ready meals to your traditional cuts to stir fries or homemade pies. So we recently just brought out our own desserts range of cheesecakes and sticky toffees. So being able to provide customers with so much stuff that we're making ourselves rather than buying in products and selling it is, it's a really great thing to say that it's come from your own farm and from your own hands. So that's definitely my thing.
Emily's hit the nail on the head. The thing that I probably enjoy the most is I'm more involved with the wholesale end and the abattoir end. So it's working and processing all our own stuff and having that story that we can tell about where the stuff's came from right through. We've got control of the full process, so it makes it a lot easier for us. And the meat, if we get it into a few new customers, it does sell itself, and then we've got the story to back it up, which a lot of people are looking for nowadays. So it gives me great pride in seeing a steak that it's came from the farm, and you see it in some of these restaurants that you can eat even in Dumfries or else up in the Central Belt, or we do a fair bit into London as well. So you can travel around and you can eat your own produce, so it's good that way.